Hey, hi, everybody. Very good morning. So it's a pleasure to welcome you all to our 51st edition of Sunday Synergy virtual webinar. So we have moved past the half-century mark, and that's a great achievement, thanks to the extensive cooperation of all of you. Today we have got very different topic. So far we have been talking about how artificial intelligence is disrupting the different industries, right, across different business verticals. But today let's go back to the foundation, right? How safe and agile are helping and driving outcomes in the artificial intelligence era. Uh, Over the past decade, mostly, right, many organizations have moved from adopting safe to scaling agile across teams, across portfolios. And as organizations mature, a different set of challenges starts to emerge. We have all been party to that, right? So we have more ceremonies, more data, more alignment mechanisms, and now with AI, more opportunities and ideas as well than ever before. So the real challenge, if you see, is no longer simply how to just execute agile, but how to ensure that all these activities translate to better business outcomes, faster adaptability, and meaningful value, right? So today we want to explore what happens when organizations move merely from doing safe to driving outcomes in the AI era. How and that's exactly what is our topic for today, right? How leadership evolves, how teams can stay aligned without unnecessary churn, uh, unnecessary overhead, and how organizations adapt without creating a constant chaos, if I may put it that way, right? So this is not a discussion where we will delve more into whether the framework being followed is correct, what are the flaws, etc. It is it is more fundamental than that, right? Is safe really helping us become the organizations that we aspire to become? And with that context, let's hear from two of our own very safe experts, right, who have seen these challenges from different perspectives, who have helped organizations transform. So welcome 𝗱𝗿𝗃𝗃 and Shubhra Haldar to the talk show today. And today, I believe it is going to be more of a conversation, right, rather than more of a moderated chat that we are used to see. And let me take this opportunity to introduce our speakers of today. Shubhra Haldar. Shubhra is an agile transformation lead and RTE at Xerox. She's an accomplished agile coach and scrum master with over 20 years of experience in the software industry. Currently at Xerox, Shubhra leads agile transformation and delivery for cloud solution teams, driving efficiency and collaboration across the organization. So welcome Shubhra to the show today.
Thank you, Dhawan.
And to accompany her, we have got 𝗱𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗃. 𝗱𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗃 is a director consulting expert at CGI. Uh, he's an enterprise agile coach and agile and AI transformation strategist with 23 plus years of IT experience. He specializes in safe implementation, enterprise agile coaching, AI driven agile transformation, and digital transformation. Welcome 𝗱𝗿𝗃𝗃 to the talk show today.
Thank you
And
so much.
thanks to both of you for making time out for this discussion. We will go ahead with the discussion, and definitely we'll allot a couple of minutes, 10-15 minutes towards the end. So please put across your questions in the chat or hold towards the end. We will hear back from you. Over to you, Shubhra. Let's get started for an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dhawan.
Okay, so Shubhra, let me take this opportunity to begin this conversation, right? So we both have been working, right, in our respective organizations, right, on the safe transformations, etc. Now, I would like to start with a very interesting anecdote. Like when a government stays in power for a prolonged period of time, the anti-incumbency factor starts creeping in, and that could be one of the reason for the failure. Now, if the government can understand that and starts taking some corrective action, and they also think about transformation, then they can overcome this anti-incumbency factor barrier and they can again continue for right quite some time. Now, if we try to put that perspective into agile and safe, agile has been there for the last 25 years and it has also undergone huge transformation. Safe has been there, if I think from the practicing perspective, for more than 15 years by now. Of course, the popularity had begun maybe from the last 10, 12 years, right? But yeah, it has been there in the market. So naturally, there will be a lot of anti-patterns, there will be a lot of pragmatism, there is a lot of challenges, right? Will be there. And they are also continuously transforming and coming up with new versions of it. And there are a lot of frustrations, there are a lot of commitment. People, see different values. Sometimes people are frustrated. So let us try to understand or explore, right, some of those things, right, from our own lenses. So my first point would be people are often, and which is a very, very common problem, that already in Agile, we had a huge amount of meetings or events or ceremony, whatever you say. And whenever we are adding another wrapper of Agile release trend, it is adding to them, or those are getting added to them. So people are often complaining about so many meetings, they are losing their productive time. Now, as organizations mature in SAFe, the ceremonies can sometimes become calendar driven than value driven. The challenge is to ensure every ceremony has a clear purpose, encourages meaningful participation, and leads to decision alignment or action. So my question to you would be, how can we make the ceremony shorter, more engaging, and outcome focused without losing the alignment? What is your take on that?
Yeah, thank you, Shiva, for this question. And this is what I believe a very pertinent question right now, because this is one thing that I think everybody faces a challenge with this. So, I mean, normally people are very frustrated about a lot of meetings and they think that as interruptions. But ideally, if we think, can we do without any meeting at all?
Right.
I believe no. So let me now put in some analogy which I love here. Uh, think about a comprehensive health checkup.
Mm-hmm.
So in a comprehensive health checkup, we have, I think, around minimum 20 tests, different tests that we need to do. But can we do everything in a single test? We cannot. And also, when we say a comprehensive health checkup, we need to verify each and every parameter of our body, right? So for each and every parameter, there is a different test.
Correct.
So a single test would never cover everything. Similarly, if I take a clue from here, so in SAFe, we do have a lot of ceremonies. We have team level events, retros, sprint planning, reviews. We have art level events. We have a big planning event that itself has a lot of stuffs. But the key here is each and every ceremony is having a specific purpose.
Correct.
So if we keep in mind the purpose, then I believe it should not be an overhead. So the goal here may not be to making it shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if I go back to my health checkup, so we cannot do something so that in 5 minutes my health checkup is done.
Agree.
So that is not the goal also. The goal is, so I can do my checkup, I can get everything tested, and I am aware of what my health condition is. So it might take 1 day, it might take also 3 days, because if I have multiple scenarios. But the outcome should be achieved, or the value that I wanted to uh, achieve should be achieved. So the idea here is not to make it shorter, rather to make it more meaningful,
Correct.
more purpose driven. So, for example, what anti-patterns that I've seen is most of the ceremonies ultimately gets into status movements.
Correct.
Right? Even the team sings. So the team sings are not actually meant to be status movements.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do answer 3 questions like what we did yesterday and what we are doing today, and if there is any roadblock or not. But the answers are not meant for somebody to judge that whether I was working yesterday or not.
Correct.
It is more sort of to identify if there is anything that is blocking my flow. So that is the intention of this team sync. So I believe there's a misconception about the purpose that each and every ceremony in SAFE is meant for. And if there is I think a couple of things we can make or we can ensure that it creates clarities. One thing is preset agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So each and every meeting should have a preset agenda.
Right.
Second point I would say is the attendance.
Correct.
So all meetings are not meant for
everyone.
or
Correct.
everyone, right?
Mm.
So if we can have certain things clarified out in the ceremony invite itself, that this is for so-and-so participants, mandatory for so-and-so participants. Everybody is welcome to join if they want to, but this is the mandatory participants and this is the agenda that we are going to talk about.
Correct.
Then people can right away decide whether they want to join or not.
Agree.
Because we don't want people also to miss out if they feel that they want to listen to some conversation.
Right.
So it is optional to the whole art, but then if they know that what is going to be discussed in it, they can right away decide whether, they will have some value or not if they join the group.
Excellent.
And lastly, I would say that even when we are doing the ceremonies in a right way, sometimes we should retrospect about the ceremonies as well.
Mm.
So the way we are doing, whether it is serving or giving some value to each and every participant, whether the participants who are mandatory, they are contributing to it or not.
Right.
They are joining it or not. If they are not joining, if they are not contributing, if it is just like 2 people talking in all the instances, then there is no point in doing the ceremony. So the point is not to do the ceremonies just for doing it, but to do it meaningfully. So whether it takes 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour, but there should be some value that is seen out of it or felt out of it.
Fantastic.
So with that, what I would also like to add, with your experience, since you have experience in this agile transformation, multiple organizations, so what do you think? There can be different interpretations of the ceremonies in different organizations, right? So, in your experience, what separates organization where SAFE meetings create value from organizations where people see them as over?
Excellent. Now, you said the right context, Shubhra. Now, one thing I would like to add from a SAFE perspective, SAFE meetings don't create value by themselves. Rather, it is the people who can create or generate the value by meaningful conversation and the decisions those are happening in those meetings. Now, we all know that SAFE is fundamentally about creating alignment, building transparency, having fast feedback, and not about only creating more meetings, as you rightly said. And also, I would not try to repeat that thing that every meeting is driven by certain purpose. So we must ask this question to ourselves. If the meeting does not improve alignment, if the meeting is not helping us to come or arriving to a decision, if it is not giving us some bit of learning, or if it is not helping us to improve our flow, we must challenge why the meeting is existing. So, like as you said, the PI planning, what is the intent? the alignment around the objectives and the dependencies. What is the intent of the art sync? Resolve impediments, dependencies, and to have a visibility whether we are going towards the art objective and so on. So the meeting or the number of meeting is not the outcome, rather better decision and better flow are the outcome. Now, as you asked me that, yes, I have seen many organizations, and the mature organizations are now moving away from calendar driven ceremony to outcome driven collaboration. So it is not a checklist item whether we had the PI planning last week. Have we been able to build our PI objective? What are we going to do in the next 3 months? That should be the question. We are not going to say, did we conduct the art sync? Rather, have we been able to resolve the dependencies to move forward? We should not ask the question, did we have the system demo? Rather, we should ask the question, did we receive any meaningful feedback? Are our incremental software, or to be precise, system increment, is making my customer happy? That's the fundamental maturity shift. Now, one thing you rightly said about the attendance. So we must have the right people in the room. Now, many times, like you also said, we are seeing 30, 40 people invited, but only 4 or 5 people are talking or getting engaged, and rest of the people are distracted, not listening to the conversation, video off, and they are not contributing, they are just silent. So we should ask this question instead of blaming them. Are we really able to generate the value for them? Because everyone believes in one very clear statement, what is in it for me? Am I just only part of the crowd, or is that something what I can contribute meaningfully in that conversation? So it is not about just adding more people, but adding the people who can really contribute and make the meeting, right, more intended oriented or outcome oriented. So mature organization, to simply put, mature organization don't simply measure whether the meeting happened. They ask, did we make the decision? Did the dependencies get resolved? Did the risk become visible? Did the team get the clarification that they were looking for? Did they receive the feedback? Did we receive the priority? Or did this meeting change, right, the subsequent course of action? So my advice would be, don't start. That's an easy task. Don't start by eliminating safe ceremony, as you rightly also said. Like, don't go for shortening the ceremony. Rather, put them under a framework. And I fully agree with you. It should be purpose driven, agenda driven. So you can put them under a framework, which we typically say, before the meeting, we should understand what problem we are trying to solve. What is the purpose of the meeting? During the meeting, we can decide, or we can check, do we have the right set of stakeholder? And are they really contributing? Are these stakeholders taking us to the right decisions? And after the meeting, which is the most important one, what changed or what value did we receive because we had this meeting? So long story short, SAFE does not create the meeting overhead. Poorly designed collaboration does. Mature agility is not about having fewer meetings. It's about making every important conversation worth having. Now, to take this discussion forward, right, as the priorities evolve, Shubhra, one of the biggest challenges is ensuring that the change in strategy does not get lost somewhere between the leadership and the team. We always talk about the strategy to the execution, but somewhere it is getting lost. It is not getting cascaded down properly, right, from the leadership team to the team because of whatever reason. Now, alignment is not about just communicating that priority. It is about translating the why. It should be purpose. And that reminds me of the very important video that we all are familiar with, which is called Start With Why, or the Golden Circle, which all says everyone knows what, everyone knows how, but very few of us know why. But once we know that why, the purpose, then we can always get aligned towards it. So the question to you is, how does SAFe help create that connection from strategy to the execution while keeping priority shift transparent, understood, and actionable at the team level?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question, because right now the environment we are in, whether it is because of AI or because of the industry changes that is happening all throughout, I think change is the continuous constant
Agreed.
that we see. And there is actually a misconception about SAFe, that what I have seen, where people think that once a PI planning is done, it's done. We cannot
Correct.
change. And if we are changing, then we are very bad at it, or we are not following the plan, or whatever it is. But ideally, if you see, the framework was never designed to be a fixed one that for 3 months, whatever you have planned is like a solid thing that you cannot, it's like the way a horse sees only in the front, right?
Correct.
So it is actually meant for having a tentative plan for the next 3 months and then working on that and then reflecting in periodic time frame that whether we are moving towards our goal or not.
Right.
So if I think about one thing that comes to my mind here is, let's think about SAFe as a family trip to any hill station, maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So the strategy or the family goal is like the family wants to reach to Darjeeling and enjoy a vacation.
Correct.
Now, once people start moving towards Darjeeling, maybe it can very well happen that somewhere in the middle of the way, there's a roadblock. Some landslide has happened.
Right.
So does that mean we'll not be able to move to or go to Darjeeling? But the thing is, it will be visible that this road is blocked. So everybody will discuss and try to identify an alternative route through which we can achieve our goal.
Correct.
So if I can come back to SAFe similarly connects strategy and execution by creating this clear line of sight from business goals to straight down to the team level. So strategic themes and portfolio priorities that happen, that actually tells us that where the organization wants to be. If I go back to the example that I gave, so everything is clear that everybody wants to reach Darjeeling, right? Then the product owners, PMs, the architects, team members, everybody actually creates the features and PI objectives that translates to the strategy. And at the team level, the user story comes, right?
Right.
So which actually says how they are going to do it. The how part is not necessarily needed for the leadership level.
Correct.
They know what I'm trying to achieve, and they percolate that through transparency or visibility through all the planning or whatever it is. So everybody is clear about the destination. So this is what I think this synchronization or this collaboration is what SAFe brings in. When we were working in Agile, even in my organization, we were working in Agile, I think from 14 to 15 years, we started doing Agile. There also we had individual teams working in Agile, but there was no collaboration happening between. So what happened is there were redundancy because there were multiple teams who were working on similar softwares. Then once we brought in SAFe, I mean, we brought in SAFe for a different product altogether. There was a cloud solution. But then people realized that each and every team within the art, and even not only within a single art, within multiple arts also gets aligned to the common goal that the organizations want to achieve. So I believe SAFe is going to give us the exact visibility that the organization wants, and even when priority changes, that exact visibility becomes transparent and gets percolated to the team level so that they can act accordingly. Ultimate goal is to achieve whatever the business goal has been decided or whatever priority is. But then if there are changes, how the team adapts, everything is visible. So the team can take the decision how to go forward. So that is what I believe, that alignment is what is the biggest, alignment and transparency is the biggest benefit that SAFe brings in.
Brilliant.
So with that, I think, again, now we have AI coming in, right? Disrupting our day-to-day work. So without AI, no discussion is coming. So what do you think, like, mature organizations do differently? Because we see that AI is creating more opportunities than ever, right? And it is very easy to get flown away with everything new coming in and immediately start doing it and all. So that can create sometimes a chaos. So what do you think that mature organizations do differently? So AI generated opportunities actually improve the adaptability instead of creating the constant churn.
Wow. Again, AI. So whether it is Agile or Kanban or any project management practice or SAFe for that matter, like AI is everywhere and creating disruption. But the interesting part, what you brought in is the impact of AI, right, on the SAFe fundamental principles, etc., and how the constant changes. Okay, good. So let me think in a different way. Let's start with the fundamental philosophy of SAFe. SAFe believes in few things. One is lean thinking. Then, of course, they are focusing on the customer centricity. We get the requirement, we do the economic prioritization. Then we go for the execution, that is flow. Then we look for continuous learning, first feedback, managing queues, weep, and the decentralized decision making. Now, whenever AI comes into picture, AI dramatically increases the speed at which the organizations can identify the opportunity. And no one can deny, take any organization for that matter, AI can always create more opportunity at a much faster rate than the organization can provide the capacity or accommodate them. So the answer is not that we have to go for implementing every AI opportunity. AI is not a silver bullet, but people somehow are quite influenced by that concept that, okay, this is generated by AI, you must go ahead and implement it. Rather, we should put them in our normal, safe exploration process. Whenever an AI opportunity comes in, you put them under hypothesis, right? Then we go for the economic evaluation. We do the prioritization. Then you try to do a small experiment, maybe an MVP or a prototype, and see whether it is feasible. Take those evidences and then decide whether to go ahead with scaling up or not, instead of AI identifying the opportunity, directly put them into the backlog and someone starts building on it. Now, you told me that how matured organizations are thinking. They are also thinking in the same way. Even if they are also doing a lot of ideation, hackathon, etc., not all the ideas are translated into initiatives. When the initiatives are finalized, not all of them are going to satisfy the experimentation. And not all the experiment can translate into the committed work. Rather, they typically introduce a mechanism like AI opportunity funnel, innovation backlog, hypothesis-driven experiments. We must validate them against some portfolio guardrails. We also need to check the capacity allocation for the innovation part. We all know about it. We must check the economic prioritization, then again validate them against the outcome-driven OKR, etc., etc. So the interesting point here is AI should increase the quality and speed of the decision making, not simply increase the volume of the work. Now, what is the pragmatic approach? So I have seen in most of the organizations, people are using a framework. The first one is they are validating the AI opportunity, whether they are aligned with our strategic themes. Second, the customer fitment. What problem are we going to solve for the customer through this AI opportunity? Third, is the economic value. What measurable business impact we are going to get if we implement that. Fourth, the feasibility factor, data, technology, skill, governance. And the last but not the least, can we really run a small experiment before committing significant capacity? And then right, based on these answers, you can decide whether to experiment now, whether you can explore later, whether you can directly put them into your project pipeline, or you just defer it or reject it. Because here the most important parameter is the project or protecting capacity. So AI is going to create opportunities, or they are going to make the backlog infinite. The competitive advantage will not be in generating more and more idea, rather it will be deciding which ideas deserve the organization capacity. So that should be our way forward. Now, we learned about AI, the impact of AI in SAFe. Now let's talk about, we understood the strategy, we understood the AI, we understood the exploration. Now let's come to the execution part, and where RT plays a major role. And even if we do not want to say that the managers are still existing, but managers are still there in the SAFe landscape as well. So PI execution is not about just tracking progress. It is all about creating the conditions for the team to succeed. And RTs and the managers often influence the different part of the system, but their efforts can be disconnected. The opportunity is to move from coordination to partnership, more collaboration, working together on impediments, capacity, dependencies, and systemic improvement, even if, right, they are having a little bit of, right, conflicting responsibilities. So my question would be to you, Shubhra, how can RTs and managers partner effectively to enable the flow, remove the barrier, and continuously improve the system?
Yeah, thanks for this question. What I have seen from my experience is there's a lot of myths around the role a manager has, and that brings in a lot of what would I say? A lot of obstruction in the adoption of SAFe.
Correct.
Because when we say any transformation should happen from top down, right? So the leadership layer, the management layer, and then coming down to the team layer. Because for the team members, whatever you ask them to do, they will do.
Right.
So team members are not at all a problem. But then if your middle layer is not buying in something, then it is actually very difficult to go for that transformation.
Correct.
And since SAFe has not defined any role called manager, everybody thinks that, or rather managers think that my job is gone with
Correct.
this. I am losing my control. But that is not the case, because managers do play a very important role.
Right.
Yes, it is not same as what it used to be earlier. Maybe assigning tasks and all. That is not the same anymore. But then there is far more important stuff or important job that the manager role should be playing these days. So if I try to compare RT and a manager, so both of them should be actually working together in partnership mode. Correct. To create an environment so that the art succeeds. So if I talk about RT is actually the one who optimizes the flow, makes the dependency, the risk visible. And manager is the one who strengthens the system behind the flow. Right. So without strengthening the system, I mean, even though the things are visible, we know what is there, there might not be enough condition for the art to succeed. So yes, managers do play a very important role in this whole ecosystem. Now, if I try to give an analogy, what comes to my mind is like a wedding plan. Mm-hmm. We can think of the wedding planner as RT, who knows what is happening, who is looking at the the dependencies, the risk that comes in, this needs to be changed, and makes everybody aware of it. But then, if you think about the elders of that family where the marriage is taking place, they are actually representing the manager role here. So they have the authority to take the decision, to allocate budget, to move in. So that is the role actually in a safe environment the managers play. So they actually secure the resources, they handle escalations, they allocate budget. So this is not done, then maybe I need to buy something more. So a wedding planner will not have that authority to do those stuffs, right? So in one word, if I say, as I said earlier as well, RTs are actually optimizing the flow, and managers are actually strengthening the system to succeed, which is very, very important. Because at the end of the day, all the resources, whether they're capable enough, whether they are having any problems, so enabling that part. And without enabling them, I think no work can happen, right? So that is a very, very, very important part. And I feel that even though there's no such role defined like that, but then this is something that maybe as RTs or as team coaches, we also should try to make this role clear to the managers, because otherwise they think that somebody is going to take my job. What am I? I mean, there will simply be a control conflict. I would like this. It's a control conflict. The manager is trying to control, or the RT is trying to control. Who will take the decision? So it doesn't work like that. And even in PI planning also, if you see, I mean, though there is no role and all, but PI planning is actually a very important forum where everybody collaborates actually. The team creates their draft plan and everything, but then before that also at the prioritization level, I believe the management layer is involved. They're aware of what is happening. When the PI planning is happening, the capacity discussions are happening, the managers are aware, okay, so this is my priority, this amount of work is done, but I don't have so many resources to work on. So what I should be doing, I should be adding some new resources or stuff like that. So each and every layer, I believe, even in all the things, if there is any roadblock that is not under the control of the team, I think managers can help in influence there as well and take the right decision. So they are a very, very important part of this ecosystem. And I think it is time that we start discussing about it, because what I have seen from my experiences, there's a lot of misconception around there. And the main reason behind why the adoption or the transformation fails. So with that, I was talking about my organization, but with respect to other organizations where you're seeing successful, safe transformations, how do you think this role has evolved from assigning work to employees to actually developing people? Because earlier we used to see that manager used to assign work to their resources, right? But that has gone because decision making is now decentralized. What needs to be done, who needs to do what, can be managed by the team level itself. So how has this role evolved?
Okay. First thing is, thank you so much because you have made my life easier, right? By setting the context already that the manager role exists. Because typically when we get this question, people raise eyebrows. Oh, in SAFe, again, manager role comes in, right? But we have not seen anywhere that any literature that SAFe promotes manager role, but you have made my life easier. Now, SAFe encourages a shift away from the command and control towards the servant leadership, empowering the teams and decentralizing decision making. So generally, the manager roles are not disappearing, they are changing. Instead of purely asking that question, who has completed what work and who is working on what, we are thinking about the value generation part. So moving away from assigning the task to remaining accountable for the generation of the value. And the focus is moving from the task allocation to the capability development and the systemic improvement. Now, I'm sure like all of us are pretty comfortable with the safe concept of the servant leadership. So here the manager roles are changing. We are responsible for now developing people, building competencies, creating psychological safe environment where the members can go ahead, experiment without a fear of being failed, being reprimanded, right? Or being scolded by the management if they make some mistake. The managers are responsible for removing systemic impediments. So when we joined our organization long back, 23 years back, that time there was no concept of coaching, mentoring. It was only directing and delegating. But now managers are more about coach, mentor. They're supporting the career development, facilitating cross collaboration, and the building organizational capability. So now in the matured organizations, what we are seeing is there is a shift from being a controller to a multiplier. Now, traditional managers are thinking about assigning the task, monitoring the task, escalating, evaluating. But the transformation manager or the modern managers are enabling, coaching, connecting, engaging, improving, and developing. So, manager success is no longer measured by how much tasks are being delivered or completed, but by how much capability they built and how the systemic barriers are improving. So it will be an oversimplification if I say the managers will not go ahead and assign the task anymore. This is not that easy that we are going to change it overnight. Now, today we still may be assigning task or allocating the task to the team member, but we may start thinking of creating an environment where the team members will be empowered to propose their allocation. And moving forward, they would own their own allocation itself. Now, that reminds me a very good book called Drive from Dan Pink. I'm sure many of you have read that, which talks about autonomy, purpose, and mastery. So, manager's job is to align everyone with that purpose and give them the autonomy to try out different things so that they become empowered, right, to demonstrate their mastery, right? They can start owning it. Now, another analogy I would like to bring in that some of you must have heard about, right? The bracing of the teeth, those who are uneven teeth or misplaced teeth. So typically what the dentists are doing, they are just, right, plucking those misplaced teeth and trying to align them into a proper shape so that they look better, their smile looks better, etc., etc. Now, during the final consulting part, when everything is looking pretty good, before leaving the patient, they provide them something, a very interesting instrument. You know what? That is called retainer. Now, what is the purpose of the retainer? Because the teeth are now forcefully put into a right position, but they are uncomfortable position. They are feeling more comfortable in those uneven position, and they will always try to go back to their uncomfortable position. So retainer will help them to stay in their uncomfortable position for a prolonged period of time so that that gets into their DNA. So similarly, when we are telling the managers to transform, we must involve them into some meaningful work. Else, you know what happens? They will go back to their original, right, incorrect way of doing management, that is task allocation. Now, before concluding, I would like to share one very interesting framework how the managers are getting measured these days. They are not being measured by the task allocation. They are being measured by the people area, the flow area, and the outcome area. Now, people area, we already talked about. Shubhra, you also said a lot of things. I'll not touch upon that, but I would definitely would like to put a little bit more focus on the flow area. The manager's responsibility is to identify the bottleneck, as you rightly said, they are going to provide that systemic infrastructure so that we can remove those bottlenecks, we can make the WIP limit under control, and we can help improving the lead time or cycle time. We are also going to measure the management layer with the outcome. Is the customer becoming happy? Are we able to generate the value? Is the quality improving? Have we been able to improve our predictability, etc., etc.? So to summarize, manager's job does not disappear in an agile organization. Only the unit of measuring the management is changing. We are not going to measure the managers only by the task allocation or the number of tasks completed. Rather, the managers are going to be measured, right, by creating that psychological safe environment where the team members can become successful, right? That is going to be the new way of management.
To add a humorous note on it, like
Please.
I was saying this other day, we'll not get our salaries also.
No, that's a good one. Um, Now coming little bit on the executional part, on the value generation part. Now features and stories tell us what we are building and delivering, but they won't always tell us why it matters to the business, because sometimes I have heard it from many product owner, Shubho, if you want me to create 1,000 stories, I can create the 1,000 stories, but where is the value? So whether we are moving towards that outcome, whether we want, or we are just generating the feature and more stories. And that's where the PI objectives become important. And trust me, most of the people I have seen, they are still having a lot of confusion about this concept of PI objective. They are not in a position to differentiate. They provide the PI objectives provide a bridge between the team level execution and the business outcome, especially when multiple teams contribute towards the same goal. So my question would be to you, would be, why is not managing features and stories are not enough? And how do PI objectives help connect the execution to the outcomes across the team?
Yes. So again, I think when we shared about this discussion, we told that we are going to talk about many misconceptions which are there in SAFe. So this is another misconception, and everybody thinks that so many documentations are required, because we hear everybody fussing about write your features in a proper way, your user stories in a proper way, and you should have PI objectives. PI objectives should have value, but believe me, half of the people don't understand the difference.
Agree.
So they think that features and PI objectives are similar.
Absolutely.
We can just club two features and write the combined text as a PI objective and assign a value, but that is not the case. So yes, these many documentations are required. Even though Agile says working software over documentation, still over documentation doesn't mean that documentation is not required. Documentation is required, because later on, when things get handed over to a different team or a shared services team and stuff like that, they need everything as a document so that things are clear. Otherwise, it will need a lot of handoffs and everything. So proper documentation as features, user stories, and PI objectives is required. And why can't we do it without PI objective is because when the business talks about, or the customer talks about getting some value, they don't understand how the value will be achieved.
Correct.
They don't understand the technical jargons. They don't understand how the work is going to be done, but they know what they want to achieve. This what part is nothing but the PI objective. So if I go back to my Darjeeling trip, my trip to Darjeeling is my PI objective. That is my objective. I want to go to a hill station for a family vacation. But then how I'm going to do it is the features and stories that the teams, the POs, and everyone is going to break it down into. But then it will not have the intrinsic details on how the objective is going to be achieved. And it may also happen while planning, I actually mentioned 4 features that I'm going to achieve this objective, that is going to Darjeeling. I will first go to Siliguri, and then I will take this route. I will visit a small place there. Then from there, I will leave, and by the end of the day, maybe I will reach Darjeeling. But it might also happen that due to some reasons, that local visiting place that I planned for is, is not open that day.
Correct.
So that is actually not impacting my Darjeeling visit, right? So my outcome is still achievable. So initially I planned for 4 features to achieve my outcome. Now I have to omit one, but that is not blocking me to achieve my outcome. So PI objective is nothing but this outcome that I want to achieve, what outcome the business wants to achieve. And features or stories are talking more about the how part, and that how part can change, but the outcome stays.
And just to add to what you have said rightly, that after reaching there, it may be originally not part of your itinerary, but from the local people, you got to know that, okay, in Darjeeling, there might have been the 2 new, right, sightseeing, right, came up recently. And that's the reason those are
Yes.
not available, right, in the websites. Why don't you go ahead and try that out? And again, that is not changing your objective, but maybe adding 2 more stories to your
Yes.
stuff, right, which are
Yes.
without changing the overall objective. Yes, of
Yes.
course.
So the features and stories can change. The how part can change. And I can still be able to achieve my destination, which is my goal, or which is my outcome that I want to achieve. So PI objective is written in a language that everybody understands, the business understands, because they are the ones who actually, after the objective is achieved, they try to evaluate whether whatever they thought, whatever they wanted to achieve is actually achievable. And then when we talk about features and stories, that is more under the team and arts control, the POs, the PMs, at the team level, that how they want to achieve. And if they are trying to make some changes, something is not done, something can get added, but still the destination remains. So that is what I think is the major difference. And many people I've seen, they don't understand why, again, we are writing so many features, everything, and why, again, we need to write PI objectives, and that too, we are fussing about smart PI objectives. Why not generic ones?
Correct.
So generic ones are, again, like you going to a restaurant and telling the waiter that bring me some tasty food. So you cannot achieve that actually.
Right.
What does tasty food mean? So yes, these are very, very important. And from this discussion, if I move to a bigger picture, so what do you think that organizations that track output very well but fail to measure outcomes? Because I've seen a lot of confusions around measuring the PI objective values, right? The business values. So what do you think happens in organizations that track output very well, but then fail to measure the outcomes?
Yeah. A pause, reflect. Very important questions. And this is the question which typically we get in almost all, right, chat shows or conferences. Now, to answer this, I would like to start with a very uncomfortable statement. And organizations can become extremely good at delivering things, but still become worse at creating the value. Because they always focus, as you rightly said, measuring the outputs. What are the outputs? How many features we have developed, how many stories we have developed, how many releases happened, how many deployment took place, how many test automation we have created, what is the percentage of test coverage, etc., etc. How many defects we closed, etc. And trust me, with these numbers, we can come up with a very fancy, jazzy, great looking dashboard. And then comes the most uncomfortable question. So what changed for the customer or the business because of these dashboard or these numbers? And suddenly the dashboard becomes much less impressive and becomes pale. Because the outcome always look for those uncomfortable statements. Did the customer behavior change? Did it help us getting into a comfortable position in terms of revenue? Did we get more business from the client? Did the customer promote us to get more customers? Have we been able to reduce our cost? Have we been able to mitigate our risk? Did the customer satisfaction or CSAT score improve? Then we don't have the answer. Now, let me try to give you a very practical situation. Let's say there are two teams, team A, team B, almost similar composition. And in one of the PI, the team A delivers 100 feature, team B delivers 30 feature. Needless to mention, with these statistics, which team is doing better? Everyone will say the team A has done better. Fantastic. But when it comes to the value realization, and if I uncover the other value part, the team A with the 100 feature, they could deliver 2 crores of value, but the team B with 30 feature, they could deliver 10 crores of value. Then the realization is changing. So always remember, utilization is not equal to productivity. Getting people busy is not productive, is utilizing the people. We are not here to judge how can I utilize my hour. We are here to learn how can I make the productive use of my time so that I can produce the outcome. Now let me give you AI part of it. Now we all know that every organization is adopting AI. Every team member is adopting. They are forced to adopt AI rather. And what is the outcome that we are expecting as an organization? We should see some capacity, free capacity, because the teams can now do things faster. But the bigger question is, how are we utilizing this capacity? Now, one manager say, oh, we are getting good capacity. Great. We have got 2000 items in the backlog. Let's start working on all of them. Come on. That's not the measure of the effective usage of the capacity. What is the point in using those 2000 items in the backlog if they are not able to create a value or an outcome for the client? So getting this capacity and utilizing this capacity just by creating more and more output is not going to help. Rather, our focus would be, how can I utilize this free capacity to work on only 100 items out of that 2000 that can bring smile to my customer's face? Now, I'm sure some of you might have heard about called Standish finding, which was sometimes very controversial. Standish used to say that 7% of the feature produced every year were always used, 13% of the software often used, 16% of the software sometimes used, 19% of the software rarely used, and 45% of the software never used. So net 64% of the software which is produced every year are either never used or rarely used. If you take the sometimes part also, it becomes even worse, 80%. So that is the problem with the output success versus the outcome success. Why we could not get those? Because those were not able to create the value. We just generated the output. Now, long story short, does that mean we are going to only focus on the outcome and not the output? Of course, yes, but with a caveat, with a tweak. Output metrics are necessary. They tell us whether your engine is running. Flow metrics tells us whether your engine is healthy. But it is the outcome metrics which tells us whether we are going into the right direction. You have got a fantastic car. You have got your running engine, healthy engine. But if you're going into the wrong direction, which is not going to give you any value, what are you wasting? You are wasting the most precious thing. That is the capacity, which is nothing but the fuel. So always look for the outcome and not the output. That will be my 2 cents.
And I think, I mean, when we are talking about this, what I've seen is it feels a overhead sometimes to create PI objectives and then get those closed because it is not done the proper way.
Correct.
So what happens is the PO is only creating the PI objective based on the feature he has committed to, and he only closes the PI objective and gives certain business value that is achieved. But how is that value measured?
Exactly.
Nobody is doing the actual measurement, and
Correct.
because it is adding so much of responsibility to the PO role, which is not supposed to be, it is thought of as a overhead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And as you rightly said, the number of features is never a count of value that the team is providing, because we cannot compare apples with oranges, right?
Correct.
No two feature is similar. One can be even a one-day feature because it is some checklist that the team has to follow, and one can be a feature that works, that the team works for a month.
Absolutely. So with this, we are coming to the fun part of the event. I know we took a lot of time, but we were just carried away, right, with the conversation. And thanks, Shubhra, for giving me some great questions. So Shubhra, let me ask you a few questions. So what is the strongest indicator of a healthy art?
Yeah, I think flow.
Okay. The behavior change that creates the biggest improvement.
Adaptability.
The biggest mistakes team make when prioritizing.
Not looking at the bigger picture.
Very good. And the fastest way to create the technical debt.
Overusing AI.
Wow. Wonderful.
Let me ask you some questions that I have in my mind. So, what do you think the thing that teams underestimate the most after a release is done?
There are quite a few, but which I think the most important is the learning from the real user behavior. Often we misunderstand or underestimate the customer centricity, the real customer behavior. If we can understand that well, our solution can be very much customer centric.
The most valuable contribution a manager can make in SAFe?
Again, there are quite a few, but most important is enabling teams to succeed.
Yeah, agree. Most valuable thing that SAFe brings to leadership?
Transparency.
Yeah. And the biggest difference between high performing and average organizations?
That's a very important one. That is the ability and having the right mindset to learn and continuously adapt faster, because now the environments are not even VUCA, we call it as a bunny environment. So in that case, the hunger for learn and adapt from adapt to change is the most important one.
And to end with, I think there's a very interesting question that is a favorite of mine. So, with AI, like if you could replace one safe artifact or ceremony or report with AI tomorrow, what would that be and why?
My take would be to manual status reporting with the AI, because with AI, we can really generate the real-time insight, the risk, the progress tracking, and the predictive forecast. So it should not be any further a manual status reporting, but it will be more insightful and um, reasonable, with some predictions, etc. Not only a flat status reporting, but with some meaningful status reporting. That would be my take. What do you think? What is your take here?
Yeah, for me also, I think I agree to you. The art metrics
Right.
that we put in so much effort to build, that can easily be given to a AI agent or somebody. And along with that, I feel that the simply the facilitation part that the team coaches or the RTs play, I mean, it can be taken over by a AI agent. The more important part is how the communication is happening.
Right.
I think that is somewhere the human touch is needed. Then on the other, the manual facilitation. So team coach should not be thinking that facilitating a team sync is his or her role of the job. That facilitation can be taken care of by a co-pilot agent. But then what is getting discussed in the team sync is something that his human touch needs to be present with them. That is what I feel.
Excellent. Okay, I think we had a lot of discussions, right? But if you have any question, right, I was just observing, but if you have any question, feel free to ask. Anyone will be happy to answer.
Any questions, anybody? I think we are already 11 minutes
over.
Okay, I think there's no question.
Okay, so if we don't have the question, so I would like to conclude with some interesting punchline that summarizes the overall discussion. Output tells me what we produced, but outcome tells me whether it mattered to the client. We all are familiar with the velocity, but always remember a high velocity team can still be moving very quickly in a wrong direction. Don't confuse being busy with being valuable. That's the most critical thing, which I believe. The worst dashboard is one which makes the organization feel successful where the customers feels no difference. The goal of Agile has never been faster delivery of features. Rather, it is faster delivery of the validated value. And last but not the least, we want to conclude with, don't ever ask how much did we deliver. Ask what became better because we delivered it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining this call. Thank you, 𝗱𝗏, for sharing your insight and asking some great questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.